In this video, I'm going to explain how to attract investors and secure funding for your feature film. Now, the benefits of doing this are numerous, but at its core, this is such an essential part of filmmaking that the sooner that you can get good at raising finance, the sooner that you can develop this skill, the sooner you're going to be able to really bring your visions to life. And it's going to be that one skill that separates you from all the other filmmakers, right? If you have the ability to go out there and raise finance, if you know how to sell your vision and attract investors and distributors and streaming platforms, you're no longer going to be at the mercy of anyone else, and you're going to put yourself in a position that not many other filmmakers are in. So you're really leveling up. So the few reasons that I want to go through about why this is so important is, yes, number one, bringing your vision to life, right? Without money, there ain't no film. So the sooner that you can get better at raising finance, the sooner you're going to be able to start making the films that you want to make. The second one is professional growth, right? Simply by learning this skill, you're going to be stacking another skill on top of your existing skills that is going to set you apart. It's going to make you more unique, right? So if you're a director and you're extremely good at the creative side, but now you stack this skill of sales on top, you're setting yourself apart from a lot of other filmmakers, and you're giving yourself a skill that's going to help you grow in your profession. The next one is networking opportunities. So by simply getting out there and attracting investors, that's going to start the process of you building relationships with people who are hopefully going to be there for your entire filmmaking journey. But importantly, you're just going to start meeting other individuals who have that same passion for filmmaking or film production. And then lastly, financial stability, right? So if you can raise the adequate funds that are needed for your production, you're going to be able to generate a fee for your work, right? A producer fee or a director fee. You're going to get some overheads. There's some other monetization opportunities that you can have. And that's going to allow you to have a revenue stream from filmmaking that is going to allow you to then make the next film, right? So if you can draw down fees on this production, it's going to carry you through to the next production. And so in that in-between time, you'll have money for development. You'll have time to spend writing the next project. Now, unfortunately, most filmmakers, they do struggle to raise investment. And there are a few reasons why to do this. There are a few reasons why this happens beyond the obvious. Number one is just like lack of clarity. So investors want to know what they're investing in. And if you can't articulate this as a filmmaker or as a producer, it's going to be really challenging to try and attract the right investors. So step one is just having that knowledge of how film finance works and then being able to articulate that to the investor. The second reason is just bad pitching. And I see this all the time as I do get pitched a lot of projects, but pitching your project is really an art. If your pitch lacks that impact, if it doesn't resonate with investors or distributors or sales agents, you're going to be less likely to secure funding. And this comes down to the material that you pitch, whether it's a pitch deck or an investment deck. It also comes down to your verbal pitch, right? How you're actually conveying that to your investors in a pitch meeting. So those two things are extremely important. And being a master of pitching, I think, is one of the greatest skills that you can have as a filmmaker. The third one is just like ignoring marketing and distribution. So often filmmakers can focus really mainly on the production side and the financing side, but then neglect that marketing and distribution side. But the distribution side in particular is really important to investors. They need to see a viable plan for reaching an audience and for generating returns. So you need to have that clear distribution strategy in place. But even better is if you can actually already be implementing that distribution strategy before you get to the investors. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. And then the last one is just overlooking financial planning. So a well thought out budget and finance plan are really essential to being able to attract investment. And if you ignore these areas, you're going to overspend, and it's going to lead to some bad financial decisions and disasters. And like I mentioned earlier, those funds, those fees that you can get in that film are really going to be there to help you carry you to the next one. So if you're overspending your budget, you're going through all your contingency, you're not leaving anything left over for yourself, you're going to make it very hard to get to the next one. And I've been in that position and it really hurts. So what I want to do now is really just like take you through my steps for how you can overcome these. And there's 4 steps that I would go through, and I do go through when I'm pitching to investors and trying to secure funding for a film. So number 1 is just crafting that compelling pitch, right? So you need to have a really clear and compelling vision for the project. You need to be specific about what are the unique selling points of your film, right? What is going to help it stand out amongst all the other films that are getting pitched? You know, who is your target audience? And why should an investor invest in your film? Like, why does this film even matter? Why is this story important? Why should they get excited by the project? Number 2 is once you have that pitch, you got to start building relationships. So investors often invest in people as much, if not more, than the project. And the reason I say if not more is because film investment is so high risk. It's not a clear-cut commercial decision for an investor, right? If it was purely commercial, the odds are really stacked against it, and most investors would probably say no. So the reason that they're likely investing is because of you. They believe in your vision, and there are these emotional drivers behind why they are investing. So it's really important to build that relationship with potential investors, spend the time getting to know them, getting to know what's important to them. If you need to find investors, you know, there's a number of ways you can do this. You can attend industry events. You can team up with like a producer or an EP who already has some of those relationships. You can find people cold. You know, I've worked with filmmakers who have just started cold outreach to investors, and they've found those people to invest in the film. But what to take away from this more than anything is that like those personal relationships and those connections are really game changers, right? Those are the things, those are the relationships that are going to help you really materialize what you're trying to do with your film. The next is to develop a solid marketing and distribution strategy. So like I said, you've got to show investors that you have a plan for these things. Now, what I would focus on more out of the 2 is distribution, right? So the way that I always approach that now is to attach distributors, or be in the process of attaching distributors to the project before we pitch to investors. So ideally, we want to have a domestic distributor and an international sales agent attached to the project before we even start pitching private investors. Because if we can have those 2 things, then we've got a much more compelling product to sell to investors, and we've already minimized their risk, right? A huge risk for investors is that the film never gets distributed and then there's no way to monetize. Well, if you can reduce that risk by already having those companies attached during financing, then you've made a big step towards minimizing the risk to them. And you've also shown them that you've been really proactive with this side of the investment, which is really important to them. And then lastly, just make sure that your financial planning is meticulous, right? So not only do investors want to see that you're allocating the money correctly, that you have a clear plan for how you're going to spend the money and recoup the money, but like I've mentioned a couple times in this video, it's really important for you as the producer or the filmmaker to really understand your budget, to make sure that you're not overstretching yourself too much, to make sure that you can achieve what you're setting out to achieve, and importantly, to make sure that you're going to generate enough money from that specific project in order to carry you through to the next project. So really with investors, it's not just about trying to find people with deep pockets. It's about trying to find people who you can build a relationship, who want to support your vision, and who you can demonstrate where you can demonstrate to them that you have a really clear plan for how you're going to recoup their investment. Now, if you need any help with this stuff, then check out the description in this video. Part of the work that I do is to jump on board different projects as an EP, where I'm either coming on board and helping raise all the finance, or really just helping filmmakers prepare their pitch package. So if that's something you're interested in, check the link in the description. All right, that's it for this video. I'll see you on the next one.